Serious, I won the ugly tie contest at work, although I hadn't heard about it prior. You know those boxed sets you get your boss for Christmas when you don't know what else to get? They have the cheeses, crackers, summer sausage, and a variety of mustards. I effing love those. That's what I want for Christmas. Everyone thinks I'm joking, and I get something else. I love the huge popcorn canisters with those different flavors of popcorn. Everyone seems to think it's a terrible gift for some reason though. I got one for a Christmas party at work last year and I saw the person who opened it look around with a clear look of disgust and sit it down beside of her. I wish I could have went up to her and took it back because I would have eaten the shit out of that. Not me, but my uncle's co-worker called him while he was home, asking him what he's up to. Oh, I'm just watching my house burn down. Haha, funny. Seriously, what are you doing right now? I'm watching my house burn down. The electrician screwed up the wiring. Forgot the details when he told me the story. I do know that he got insurance plus some compensation. The company responsible for the fire housed them at a nearby hotel for a few weeks. My sister called my mother once with much the same conversation. Also a wiring issue. When I was like 12 we had a rainstorm and people were just putting a new road in like 50 yards away which caused the backyard to flood. The water started going into the basement and I went to check it and it probably had a good 5 inches of water in it. I told my parents that were watching TV, the basement is flooding, and they told me to shut up, stop lying and go back upstairs. So I went again. About half an hour later I hear my parents yelling and firefighters came within 5 minutes. Lol. Had over a foot of water. That a hijab wearing girl won best hair my senior year. My bald friend won it at my high school. That my nose has a bump on the bridge of it because I was punched by a kangaroo as a child. Edit since a few people are asking. Definitely not as exciting as some of you think. I was 5 at Australia Zoo. I was really obsessed with feeding the kangaroos because they are the one section in the zoo where you can walk through and pat the animals. Turns out a fully grown kangaroo doesn't appreciate my hand being shoved up against their face constantly, so he stood right up and punched me in the nose. Point kangaroos can be quite vicious when they want to be, so honestly a punch was nothing and 5-year-old me totally deserved it. I mean, I still laughed, but I'm fully aware of what kangaroos are capable of. I'm Aussie. I got kicked in the head growing up. I'm convinced it made me considerably more daft. My ability to remember things and think of words disappeared. I was about 16, which was around 2007. I was skating around and had to take a massive dump. I was only 4 blocks away from home, but I knew I wouldn't make it. Luckily for me there was a gas station nearby which had caught on fire, and it was pretty much just an abandoned building. I went inside and I couldn't get my pants off fast enough. I had finished my business and realized I didn't have anything to wipe with. I found something fluffy next to me and it seemed alright to use. Turns out I wiped my A with fiberglass insulation. I remember having a fiery itchy a-hole for weeks. Most raw cucumbers have a really strong taste to me. Point I know most people think they are basically tasteless, but not to me. Some people interpret this as me not liking cucumber. That's not it. I'm actually kinda okay with the taste. I love celery and crunchy green vegetables in general. It's just that if there's cucumber in there, the taste of cucumber is just too strong. It overpowers everything else. Family didn't believe me when I was growing up. Now that I'm an adult and can explain what's going on, they kind of do. It also helps that there's stuff online where other people are saying they have the exact same thing. Maybe due to being sensitive to a particular chemical or something. Plus, one of my coworkers has a similar thing. This is probably the same as how a lot of people taste cilantro. It's overpowering and gross to me. I can't eat anything with even a little in the dish. I hate cucumbers and my mom knew that. So when she'd make salads she'd make it with cucumber and then take them off my plate after. I always complained that she did that because I could still taste that cucumber used to be in the salad, and she never believed me because cucumbers almost taste like nothing. Then how do I know that there used to be cucumbers in here, mom? I won a Grammy as a part of a large band years ago when you were in school. Yes. That I'm not gay. Seriously, my dad insists that I am, but whenever I try to tell him that I'm not he just thinks That I'm worried he won't be okay with it. Your dad just doesn't want to lose his bet with your mom. I got arrested for drinking when I was 16 while hanging out with my best friend. The next day my parents found condoms in the car and my mom assumed that they were for my friend and I to do a little plug and play. My mom sat me down and asked me very seriously if I was gay. I had to convince her that I wasn't. When she went upstairs to tell my dad the outcome of her suspicions, all I heard was a very exasperated "I told you." I love my dad. A lot of people insist that I'm gay too, even though I have a girlfriend. Sometimes even she jokes about me being gay, but I think that's what I like about Martin. She has a business sense of humor. It's the opposite for a lot of us gay people when people are first coming to terms with it. Yes mum, I'm no pizza phase. No mum, I've liked boys my whole life. No Dava Moo, you don't, you're just confused. You like football and beer. Oh well, don't tell the others, I'll be shunned. You like football, why do you think that is? I'm terrified of vomiting. It's an irrational phobia that borderline controls my life. If I mention it, I usually get the generic "well, nobody likes to throw up" response. They think I'm exaggerating or being dramatic, but I'm really not. Senior year of HS, I win funniest in my class, only I was never trying to be funny. Turns out people were just laughing at me. When I say this, people think I'm being funny. Laugh and the world laughs with you. Weep and you weep alone. Weep and Reddit weeps with you. Heard joke once. Man goes to doctor. Says he's depressed. Says life seems harsh and cruel. Says he feels all alone in a threatening world where what lies ahead is vague and uncertain. Doctor says treatment is simple. Great clown Pagliacci is in town tonight. Go and see him. That should pick you up. Man bursts into tears. Says, "But doctor, I'm Pagliacci." Alan Moore. Everybody laugh. Roll on snare drum. Curtains. I have a friend that always say his favorite Star Wars is The Phantom Menace. Everyone thinks he's joking and he's being ironic, but I talked to him recently and he literally thinks it's the best one. What the F, man? It's okay. I know a guy whose favorite movie of all time is Suicide Squad. I'm terrified of birds and fish. My husband realized I wasn't joking after he tried pulling me towards a flock of ibises and I broke down into tears in public. My wife is terrified of swans. I found this out on an early date when we went for a walk in the park, rounded a corner, and about a dozen of them were in front of us. She tore away from my hand and went tearing off into the woods, making a kinda odd wailing noise. It was an odd moment, but mildly hilarious in retrospect. Those are very specific fears. That I hate being tickled. My husband finally got it after nearly 10 years together. Only time I've hid my husband was because he was tickling me and I couldn't breathe enough to talk, so that was the only thing I could think of to get him to stop. He's never done it since. R.I.P. Laskia's husband. I read recently that tickling was actually one of the more creative forms of torture in ancient Rome. I always say, if you tickle me the first time I kick you will be involuntary. The second time will be on purpose. Oddly, my nephew who is 9 now has loved tickling since he was born. I tried to be careful tickling before he could say stop, because that's just torture, but he would just lift his shirt to be tickled again. My girlfriend always seems to think I'm kidding when I say I don't like being tickled, and she's constantly surprised when I get angry. Yeah, I'm mad. I told you 5 effing times, sounding serious every time, that I want you to stop, but you were laughing. LPT to all you tickle haters out there. If you can see it coming, tense up other parts of your body. It distracts your body from the sensation and significantly dulls the feeling, and laughter takes some effort but works fine for me. Also works for pain. While we're at it, also, if someone asks you if you are ticklish, the correct response is "I have diarrhea." This tip courtesy of Demetri Martin. That I've never pursued a relationship in my life. I'm 53 years old. Bunch of 20-year-olds commenting OMG, me too. LMAO, I just spit out my coffee. Reminds me of a meme Twitter post about people posting "I hate sleeping alone 14-year-old. I'm going to get in a van and just drive away." This comes up occasionally when people ask me what I'm doing after college and people think I'm joking, but I'm dead serious. I want to live in a van and just drive around America, having a grand old time for a while. You should check out Squat the Planet. It's an online forum for people doing just that. Or /r/vandwallers right here on Reddit. I was born with 5 congenital heart defects and 2 congenital lung defects. I have many other health issues. I've had 2 strokes and a heart attack by the age of 15. My first open heart surgery was done at about 10 years old. I was also diagnosed with arthritis when I was 11. For some reason some people don't believe me and think I'm joking/exaggerating. Some have even told me that it's impossible to have those things happen at a young age. This was even said to me as a teenager, when my scar is pretty visible. I've never seen myself without my scar. This was 1990. No smartphones of course, so my first photo was taken 3 to 4 days after I was born, and that's why congenital heart defects need more awareness. It's the #1 birth defect. Happens 1 in 100 births. That means it's at a higher rate than all childhood cancers combined. People need to know that heart problems/heart attacks/strokes/arthritis etc. isn't something that only happens after the age of 40. Even kids that were born with a healthy heart, things can and have happened. TV commercials for heart/lung meds needs to start showing people under the age of 40 over 50, so it's showing people it happens in younger people. I can be sarcastic, but I don't get it when other people point out being sarcastic. That I lost 70 kilograms, 160 pounds, from 230 kilograms, 500 pounds. I was 230 kilograms and lost 70 kilograms. So I'm at 160 kilograms now. I was at 500 pounds and lost 160 pounds and am at 340 pounds now. I'm still overweight, so they are always baffled in disbelief until I show them how I looked like 3 years ago. Sometimes annoying but always refreshing. Great job. People always laugh when I tell them that I can't stand children, and I don't know why. I want to get tubal ligation, if it helps. As a male I went to a doctor to get a vasectomy, and they outright refused and said unless I bring my wife in, we all sit down and talk about it, and after that, if she agrees and signs will they consider doing it. In the US, the policy is individual to the doctor. One of my mentors had a personal stance that he wouldn't do a vasectomy on anyone who didn't have 3 kids with at least one of each gender. He developed that personal policy after being a doctor for 30 years and seeing scores of men regret their vasectomy and try to reverse it. He also wouldn't do a vasectomy on a married man unless the wife agreed to it. Once again, it wasn't law. He'd just seen too much marital strife and too many regrets. My lack of self-esteem. When I say I don't have friends, Haha, you are so funny. I'm quite sure you have some. No, I fine don't. Yeah. But like who do you talk to all day? I don't think you're grasping this concept. Sharon, I'm in college. I have one friend. He lives 137 miles away, at home. I've been here 3 effing years, and it's never been more lonely. My girlfriend who is met this year cheated on me and dumped me earlier this week, and I just don't feel anything. Like, it hurt at first, and there's just nothing now, and I have no one to effing turn to, and it's going to kill me. The tiny amount of weed that I smoke that can get me high. My friends call me the one-hit wonder. I call me ready for bed. I fall asleep after 1 beer, maybe 2 beers. When I'm getting lots of practice, it makes nights out awkward. First hit, every time. No matter how small, it's pretty great, isn't it? I smoked every day for about 8 years, before I cut back to once a month or so. It's not for lack of conditioning. Retreating into silence is a defensive move. Have you ever retreated so far into silence that it is your defining feature? I get that. People can't twist your words and use them against you if you don't say anything. No, they will keep asking why you're not saying anything and throw words in your mouth that you didn't say. When people find out you're vulnerable, they'll find a way to humiliate you, and you're already in lost position, no matter what you do. Being gay, I guess it's my own fault for playing so many pranks on people, especially my parents. My mom thought I was joking with her for a solid 2 weeks when I came out to her. Hilarious. A guy I went to high school with announced on Facebook that he was gay, and one of the first comments was lol. Hacked. At least she wasn't disowning you. That, I do not drink. My entire time at university was this non-stop. You don't drink. Why don't you drink? You should drink. I will buy you a drink. Here, even though you told me not to, I bought you a drink. I bought you a drink, you should drink it. Haha, yes, whilst you were in the toilet I did add vodka to your water. How did you tell without drinking it? Vodka and water don't mix. Really? Haha, yes, this time I replaced the whole drink. What? The smell? Oh yeah, I guess that would give it away every damn time. That I'm allergic to temperature change. My body will react with rashes, hives, if I experience a temperature spike. For example, if I were to go out in the cold weather for a bit with appropriate cold weather gear and came back inside to a warm, let's say 78 degrees, house, within minutes I'd be covered in hives, rashes, and whelps on my body. I take medicine daily to help keep it under control. Holy sh! I never realized that this was potentially what was happening. I have similar symptoms, but had no idea why it happened. I'll have to look into this further. Thanks stranger for pointing me in a direction. Cholinergic urticaria. There's also cold urticaria. It's a form of allergies and can typically be controlled by medication. It's really annoying when exercising. I have been telling people that cold weather does not cause the cold. Instead, it's a virus. Plenty of people really thought that I wasn't serious and was joking. That I fake being happy. In fact, I don't think I've felt sadder in my life before. That I don't really like human contact. I hate it when people assume they can pat me, hug me, touch my etc. People seem to think it's like some sort of challenge and go out of their way to touch me, like I'm supposed to grant them wishes if they accomplish it. The only time someone has actually respected it, when I told an American roommate the day after they got drunk and hugged me. They were pretty apologetic about it. This probably will never be seen. This was years ago, but senior year of high school. Everyone is talking about their plans, where they wanted to go to school, dream jobs, etc. I had a shy senior year. Some situations came up, and I came to the realization that I didn't have any real friends, nobody I could trust. So when someone asked me what I was going to do after graduation, I told them I would disappear. Sure enough, I had my car packed and ready to go. After graduation, we were all standing around, laughing and recalling stories. Halfway through someone's story, I walked away and never looked back. Got in my car, drove 12 hours away, changed my phone number, deleted my email address. I haven't been back to my home state ever since. I have no idea what sort of rumors have circulated about me. They probably all think I died or something. That I'm in chronic pain all the time. That it takes everything in me to pull through every single day. That just because I'm not talking about it or physically showing it doesn't mean it's not there. I've had 6 spine surgeries in the past 3.5 years. My body will never be the same. People can tell by the way I sit and stand, and I'm always adjusting, but I try not to complain. My friends absolutely do not get it. When I get home from work I just want to die, and they get all annoyed and think I don't want to hang out. It's like no F's, I'm in serious pain. I understand that they don't get it, because I didn't understand until it happened to me, but F, it's awful. My crippling social anxiety. I'm almost 30 now and have learned how to mask it, but apart from a small circle of friends and family, social interaction is still a brutal overload. I hate the going to the beach because I'm afraid of the ocean. When I was young I went on a banana boat ride and watched as a huge manta ray glided under us. Me not knowing, told everyone it was a stingray and how it could have stabbed me. That was the start of my vacation. Then I went to North Beach in Miami. We were deep out in the ocean when the coastal guard, I think, drove up on us and told us we had to get back to shore because there was a 18-foot shark spotted not far from where we were. At that point I realized how far down I'm in the food chain. While in the water, you see humans don't belong in the water and are very defenseless in it. Reverse the roles and have a shark on land and the fight tips the other way. People would laugh when I tell them 2 things. I have a high cold tolerance. I have autism. You'd never know I'd have the latter unless I told you. You don't know how many people have laughed at me and then they stop and see I'm staring, not at their eyes or nose, and say, "Oh, you share some similarities to my son. He's also autistic and I have to force him into jackets so his school doesn't think I'm neglecting him." They yelled at me when I didn't have backup jacket #4 after he kept hiding them in school. He would be fine rolling through the snow shirtless if I let him. Huh. Interesting. I mostly contribute my cold tolerance to my fat, not my autism. The most I've gone without being super cold is I think 2 hours. Do people treat you differently after you tell them you have autism? As someone who has autism but is super good at pretending to be normal so people don't notice, some do, most don't after a short while. But I usually only bring it up to explain to people why I, for example, need to listen to music via headphones while going to buy stuff, or why I will eat the exact same thing every single day for months straight. So it usually just boils down to a row. Okay, that makes sense. Migraines. Oh, you've got a headache. You'll be okay. People don't understand what's going on unless they've had one. It's tough trying to have a normal life with them. And for so many people, migraine is just a fancy word for bad headache, but it's a whole separate category of headaches based on an inability to properly ignore certain stimuli. So, yes, the sunlight does cause me real physical pain and I have to lie down in a very dark room with earplugs in until it calms down. I still remember waking up with a migraine 6 years ago. All that pain localized into my head. Luckily it only lasted about 3 hours. I can't imagine dealing with migraines as commonly or as long as some people do. I've had migraines a few times and I literally couldn't see what's before me. It's awful. Fortunately my current workplace is very understanding, but I had to leave a job in college because they told me to just take some Tylenol, and they refused to excuse my absence for the day. I was alternating between throwing up and complete immobility. Just like not all headaches or hangovers are created equal, not all migraines are equal either. Some people get migraines every week and they are very minor. Some people get migraines once a month and they are utterly debilitating. If someone with mild migraines hears you have a migraine, they might assume you can work through it, since they normally work through this in the future. If you don't want to have to deal with arguing with people about your illness while suffering from your migraine, just pick one of the symptoms and list that as the reason why you can't go to work. I was alternating between throwing up and complete immobility. Boss, I can't come to work. I vomited 3 times in the past hour and I can barely stand up. No one is going to ask you to come into work if you say that. My age. My future. Possibility of starting a family. Careful. Don't startle them too hard. The little one might get nightmares. That I'm almost 30 and never had ketchup before, or mustard, or ranch dressing on a salad. What's a potato? A potato. Oh, interesting. Never heard of a potato. Looks pretty good. Tastes very strange. If I don't know your name, or if I say I don't remember us meeting, I mean it. I really won't beat around the bush with it. I will be really nice and apologize for forgetting and try to make a good second chance at it. However, I'm not going to sit there and draw blanks about where we were or what we talked about. Sorry, I meet people when I'm intoxicated apparently.